Hey, what's good, everybody? Hope y'all doing well. Just doing our daily review here for Tuesday. Starting with this higher time frames, we had mentioned yesterday how we would want to see after breaking up and through this high with the fair value gap, how price reacted here, and if we attacked our buy side. So during London and heading into our New York session, we get that run up after respecting that fair value gap, which is also aligned with these new week opening gap levels here. So we respect all those and then deliver to our buy side. Now, since we've hit our buy side, we get a retracement clearing sell side, and now we're really just in this framework here. If I go to the 1 minute, we'll talk about the setup shared this morning on my Twitter. So this fair value gap here, is a 1 minute fair value gap. But if I go to an hourly, just so you can see quick, our original attention was focused on this hourly fair value gap here. I really just wanted to see after breaking through this old high with displacement, leaving behind that fair value gap, if we would offer any support here in this area. That was the idea going into the morning. So now on those lower time frame, right now that we're on the 1 minute, you'll see this is that hourly fair value gap, simply refined to this 1 minute fair value gap here that aligned with it. So now I'm using that 1 minute fair value gap, and we had that swing low inside of that fair value gap. And as you saw this morning, as we opened here at 9:30 and immediately dove into that area, looked for a run on this swing low for entry, entered as we cleared that swing low, looking for this area to offer support. And then we got a retracement back into that buy side target. Notice how beautifully the candles are holding here. And I was looking for a bounce off this area because leading into the 9:30 open, notice how we were leaving all of the highs intact. So we were really trending lower, creating a phantom trend line. So any retail traders are looking to go short here already. Now at that 9:30 opening, as we sell off heavily, they're really going to be trying to short this, placing their stops right above this high, which was our buy side target. And as you see, after finding support here inside that hourly fair value gap, and remember this level here is that old daily high, so that also will act as kind of a discount array to support price. So we're trading into a fair value gap, clearing liquidity, and hitting an old daily high, which is why I was fairly confident entering here. We get that bounce into it, find support, and then simply retrace to attack our buy side target. After clearing our buy side target, we now get the YouTube model forming here with that short-term high cleared, as well as this short-term high. Market structure shift lower, leaving behind a 1 minute fair value gap, which if you're looking to enter there, you may have missed that. But if you look at our original bearish fair value gap, as we trade up and through it, come back down and close below it, it becomes balanced. So you could simply look to enter at that low. You'll notice how the candle bodies respect that level beautifully. These two candles hit that to the tick before selling off really the remainder of the morning. We continue to put in this down leg. You'll notice here on this candle how we wick lower. Now we trade back up, fill in this whole balance of this wicked range. And as we leave that now, breaking this low, we leave behind another bearish fair value gap. So we can look for that area to act as resistance on price. And as you see, we trade back up into it once, twice, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. 6th time hitting it right on the low beautifully before giving up and then creating another leg lower. Breaking through this low with that displacement, ultimately reaching for that new week opening gap. So we had the short that I was looking at. Right, so after respecting this fair value gap and breaking lower, we had created, notice this fair value gap here. That's perfectly in line with, this is that midnight open level. So this low is our balanced price range. We had that 1 minute fair value gap, and then that midnight open level perfectly here. So I was looking to enter on that BPR. You'll see we fell just one tick short, right, traded into the midnight open instead and rejected. Also right to that new week opening gap. Notice how no candles close above the new week opening gap. So after I saw that and we started to break lower and we created this volume imbalance, simply use that volume imbalance to get short, targeting right sell side here, and close most of the position at this swing low actually. So at this point I was just looking for a continuation of lower prices, seeing as how we closed below that new week opening gap. I figured that this short-term low would be cleared once more. Which, right, you'll see that I got taken out here and then taken out at break even. So that consolidation took me out, but we still delivered to our target eventually, as expected. We traded a little lower than those new week opening gap levels. Right after this expansion, we could expect consolidation, which we get here. Right, we form another YouTube model in the form of this short-term low now being ran. As we return into, this is a higher time frame fair value gap. So on the 1 hour, right, we hit that just to the tick. Right, kiss it there. Break back above that short-term low aggressively with a fair value gap, which then gets respected, and then we just continue to put in bullish order flow from here after clearing out these short-term lows. So you break above this high, right, solidifying the YouTube model. Now classifying really all these up close candles as a breaker. Right, but since we have these other PD arrays that are a little easier to see, we use those. So we've broken above our new week opening gap levels. Now we can expect that to act as support, as well as leaving behind this 1 minute fair value gap just near that new week opening gap low. So you see right during that lunch hour, really heading into power hour, just have that consolidation. Even in this consolidation, right, if you understand what you're looking for, potential setups do form. So we mentioned that 1:30 p.m. is when we could start looking for our afternoon trades to start forming. You'll see here right at 1:30, what do we get? Right, so that candle at 1:30 comes out to run this low, short-term low cleared. Breaking structure here, as well as this high here. And now leaving behind just that small fair value gap inside. Right, with this, I like the idea of using our midnight open level though, or that new week opening gap level since this fair value gap is so small. Right, so within this framework of that YouTube model, the discount array that I would look to use would be that midnight open. Right, so you could have done that with stop just below the swing low, targeting buy side here at this high. Which, right, you'll see that we just run and sweep barely, but still deliver there beautifully before now selling off. So that would have been our afternoon setup here. Right, if I were to extend the 1 minute fair value gap that we mentioned from earlier, that's really what holds price all day, right, as we trade during the power hour session. So we run up to clear these buy stops, still in that consolidation environment, seek and destroy. So after clearing these buy stops, we now attack all this sell side in the form of all these swing lows left behind, especially these equal lows here. Right, so we run those, returning into our discount fair value gap into the low of that new week opening gap. You notice how beautifully, right, this fair value gap holds the candle bodies. And now since we cleared out our sell side and have returned into a discount, right, remembering we're still inside the framework of this higher time frame YouTube model. So that short-term low cleared, market structure shift gets broken higher. So really in theory, all three of these down close candles, we would look right, to be a level that would support price, which we see happens all this afternoon. But right, we had started streaming right when we were here. So as we were trading off this 1 minute fair value gap, we had mentioned we would want to see how this most recently formed bearish fair value gap treated price. And as we were watching, price continued to really just trade up and through it, right, not respecting it at all and creating new discount arrays as it was trading up and through it, right? So this volume imbalance being created, breaking above midnight open level. And as we break up and through this fair value gap, you'll notice that we do it with now another 1 minute fair value gap. So that classified this as an inversion fair value gap, and is why we looked for this 1 minute fair value gap to support price for the power hour session, which, right, if you drag it out, you'll see that's what ended up happening. We also had our, remember, fractal breaker here in the form of this swing low, swing high, lower low gets broken, right? This high gets broken here. So now this up close candle, in theory, becomes a breaker, which aligned with that 1 minute fair value gap. So we trade into that 1 minute fair value gap here. The first time, fall just short of our buy side, right? Creating relative equal highs. Trade back down now to clear out sell side and return into the low of this fair value gap. So notice how, right, in a larger sense, we're creating seek and destroy. Now in this smaller fractal within this leg, we're now creating a smaller seek and destroy. All right, so notice how this low gets taken, that swing high gets taken, this swing low gets taken, this swing high gets taken. All right, really just going back and forth here. Real high resistance liquidity run conditions as we spoke about. But even though that was the case, right, our idea of this fair value gap supporting price into buy side still panned out beautifully. So it took a while, right? We talked about that time distortion here in that mini seek and destroy fractal. So after clearing out buy side, slight consolidation, still respecting that 1 minute fair value gap, creating now another little seek and destroy type of fractal, right? Where lower lows and highs keep on getting taken out. Right after clearing this low and creating that third run on these swing lows, we finally release and attack our buy side target here. But even then, notice, right, after clearing buy side, what do? Immediately return and clear sell side again. So really completing that seek and destroy profile. Right, like if I was to turn off the candlesticks here, you really see. Right, notice how we keep taking lows, take out highs, take out lows, take out highs, take out lows. So really just seek and destroy. After running that buy side target, look how beautifully these candles respect still that 1 minute fair value gap that we continue to watch. And just like as we mentioned, right, we clear buy side and then run and clear out all that original sell side that we had created. Heading into market close, right, price runs that sell side, returns into what? Right to that midnight open, to the tick. So just beautiful algorithmic signatures here. And then returns into, right, that 1 minute fair value gap. And now this range from high to low is that new dealing range. So you'll see price just plays around inside of that, right, and we're at the time of this recording just resting still inside that 1 minute fair value gap. So right, even though price was still chopping and consolidating this afternoon, I think it still was an insightful session, right, because we were able to see how, even though it's at high resistance, right, our idea still panned out, and we understand we're in a consolidation environment, seek and destroy. So we were able to give you some insights on how to navigate, right, during these type of conditions. I had some good insights on, right, those fractal setups inside of larger time setups. So although it wasn't, right, clean price action, still a good and insightful session. But yeah, that'll wrap up our little recap here for today. Heading into tomorrow, right, still just wanting to see what we do inside of this hourly fair value gap here. We mentioned we may see now an inside range day tomorrow, so right, won't be too, I guess, quick to look to engage. But yeah, I hope you guys found that little recap helpful. If you missed the actual trade execution videos, check the Twitter video section for the 2 setups this morning. But yeah, now we'll go ahead and wrap that up. As always, hit me up with any question you guys may have. And yeah, until we talk again, be safe and have a good night.